Hello, my name's Quentin Smith, and this is Shut Up and Sit Down. Except I'm not Quentin Smith, I'm Matt Lees. And this is the opener. Today we're entering a world of mysteries and masks and secret identities. I don't own a mask, actually. I tried to make one, but it was rubbish. Today we're going to be talking about Mascarade. Inside the box you'll find a bunch of things, including loads of beautifully designed character cards, plenty of gold and bronze and silver coins to collect and hopefully storm away and win with, a beautifully drawn bank thing, and loads of other bits and bobs. You've got about 14 different characters in the game, but everybody has the same aim. Get 13 gold coins and you've won the game. And there are a bunch of different ways you can get money. If you're the bishop, then you can activate your power to gain 2 gold from the richest player. Ha ha ha! Oh, religion, money. If you're the queen, then you can get 2 gold just out of thin air, magical. And if you're the king, you can get 3 gold out of thin air, magical +1. However, if you're, let's just say, the witch, then you can swap your entire fortune with the fortune of another player using dark magic to piss on somebody else's bonfire. At the start of the game, everybody is dealt a different character. And you will try and memorise who everyone is. There's one that goes in the middle as well. Huzzah, mix it up. However, this is a complete waste of time because after you've memorised vaguely who everyone is, they all get flipped over, and for the first 4 turns of the game, you have no choice but to swap the card in front of you with the card of somebody else. After this has happened, everything is a mess, and nobody is entirely sure who's who. Why is that? Because the swaps that occur don't occur like I just showed you they did. Oh, that's right. I'm one deceptive Mother Hubbard indeed. The swaps in Masquerade all occur underneath the table. Now that we're underneath the table, things start to get complex indeed, because what I can do is take the 2 cards that I've decided to swap and swap them around without anyone else seeing. And then I can choose to give the person I've taken the card from their card back if I want to bluff them, or I can choose to simply swap what they've got for what I've got. The problem is, it's quite difficult to remember what you're doing, and more often than not, you'll end up knowing exactly the way you want things to be when you start swapping the cards, but then actually as soon as you start doing that, you have a moment where you stop and go, oh God, I've forgotten which one is which. And more often than not, it's very hard to hide this notion from the other people playing, which gives the game quite an immediate sense of unintentional hilarity. Once we've swapped the 2 cards around, we give one of the cards back to the other player and keep one for our own, keeping a straight face as if to say, I know exactly what I'm doing. You slide them back across the table. But the horrible thing about Masquerade is, even though you always have the option to choose when you swap which card you want to keep, you are never allowed to look at what card you've got without using your turn to do so. Because every turn you can do one of 3 things. You can choose to peek and actually have a look at what you've got in front of you, just so you can go, or you can swap your card with anybody other card from around the table, or you can activate what you've got. And activating what you've got is where the game gets seriously cool. Because whilst Masquerade's cards make it look like werewolves or Avalon, it's actually got much more common with poker. Which is why I'm gonna have to get my poker face on and turn to you on my turn and say, I am the king. No, you're not the king. I am the king. And that hat is really bad. Yes, I am aware of that. And once everyone around the table has put up their claim to whichever card you've just claimed to be, the people involved flip over. I'm not the king, I'm the bishop. Was he the king? He was the king. He was the king. Now, because he was the king, it would mean that he would then get 3 beautiful coins. And I would have to give one of my coins to the bank because I wasn't the king. But if I had said that I was the king and actually it turned out to be him, then he would have got 3 gold coins and I would have lost one to the bank. And the danger with the bank is the bank can speed up the game remarkably quickly just because the judge, who's one of the cards in play, has the ability to activate his power and take all of the money from the bank, which means you've got all this new money constantly coming into the game and none of it ever leaves, which means that Mascarade always takes about 20 to 30 minutes. Bosh. But Matt, you said it was like poker. Why did you say it was like poker? It doesn't sound much like poker to me. Well, it is like poker for this simple reason. If you claim to be something at this Mascarade ball, cavorting around, fluttering a manual in your face to waft away the smells of the underlings, if you pretend to be something and nobody calls you out on it, and it's all very well for somebody to say, I don't believe you. If they want to call you out on it, they have to say that they are that thing and risk losing money if they're not. No one calls you out, doesn't get flipped over. It stays like that, which means you can say, I'm the king. No other kings here? Oh, good. Well, I'll just take 3 gold and keep my card face down. Which means if you're very clever and you give people no reason to suspect that you're not something, then you can just be raking in money. So really it's a simple game of deception, misdirection, and general confusion. But there are a couple of little rules that make it balanced and make it work. For example, if you claim to be the king or the fool or whichever card that's just been put down and it's your go next, then your next turn has to be to swap your card with another player. Because otherwise, obviously, you could just claim to be something just so you know what you are, so next turn you can go, oh, I'm that. Which would obviously be a little bit cheeky. It's a simple game once you get your head around the basic rules, but is it a good opener? Well, yes and no. The thing is, it's actually quite a simple game, but people struggle to get their heads around it at first, basically because it's so bloody confusing. There are so many cards around the table, you watch people playing it, and you're trying to work out who everyone is. You're trying to keep track of the game because that's what your brain wants to do, and it takes a little while to just come to terms with the fact that you can't keep track of the game. I am Matt. No, you're not. I'm Matt. All right then, let's have a look. Aha! I am Matt.
Well, who the hell am I then?
You're Laurie.
Oh.
But yeah, it's just generally, it messes with your mind. And the way you can play a game of werewolves and get people into it immediately, the first few games of Mascarade are slow. And it's not because people don't understand the rules, it's because people spend a long time trying to get their head around what's going on until you eventually work out that you kind of can't. And you kind of need to allow your brain to leave huge chunks of information completely unknown. So in a weird way, the biggest problem with Mascarade as an opener is that the rules are too simple. You can either peek at your card, you can swap your card, or you can play the card that's apparently in front of you. And because of that, people kind of know how to do it straight away, and it takes a bit longer to work out what the game is. And the idea that this is a game of complex double bluffs and all sorts of wondrous things. And it kind of doesn't grab people immediately, but if you can get them to play a game or a second game, then you've got people. And the thing that does make this wonderful is the sheer quantity of brilliant characters you've got. And my personal favourite, the Inquisitor, who is able to point at somebody around the table and say, "Who are you?" And then they have to guess. And if they get it wrong, they have to give you 4 gold. But if they get it right, they don't. Oh, it's the Inquisitor. What do you want? Who are you? I'm, the king? No, you're not. Now I'm going to kill you. It's fun. The final thing I will say as Masquerade's quality as a game to try and get people who don't play that many games involved is the lack of knowledge really does make it a beautiful leveler. And the fact that I've played enough games to go into this knowing that I've got some great strategies I could use. I could take the cheat, for example, pretend to be something else until I have more than 10 gold, and then bang, I know I'm the cheat, swap it over. I mean, somebody might swap in the meantime, and that's the problem. It's the fact that you can go in with better strategies, but it doesn't help because there is always this element of the unknown. People can take your cards, and they're going to swap them under the table. And you might be able to work out what's going on vaguely, but even seasoned gamers will not be able to get their head around what's going on. And that makes it really nice, because a lot of time when you play games with people who don't play games, they have this sense that they feel like they don't know what's going on, and that they feel stupid because you know how to play the game, they don't. And as much as you try and say to them, oh, it's not hard, you know, they kind of feel stupid because we have this almost encyclopedic knowledge of how games mechanics work, and they don't. What's nice about this is you'll quickly realise that you know as little about what's going on as they do. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get extravagant with some delightfully cheesy twists. This recipe is one of the easiest ways in the world that you can make everyone you know think that you are El Capitan fancy bastard. Now, first things first, you want to put your hand in a bag of flour, then remember you don't need the flour yet, just do that. And you're going to need to buy some puff pastry sheets. And I like to use Just Roll puff pastry sheets because they're the only ones you can bloody find in shops. Let some of that defrost for a little while, and then just roly-poly out Parmesan, cheese of the gods. Just do that a bit, I guess. I don't even know what side of the grate. The graters have like 4 sides, and I swear nobody actually knows what this one does. Get your Parmesan, and lightly kind of get it all vaguely to one half of the thing. Next up, what we're going to do is just take some mustard powder and just a bit of mustard powder in there as well. Now, you don't have to add mustard powder to this, but I mean, you don't have to get out of bed every morning, but you do that, don't you? So why don't you just sort your life out, eh? But no, you can also add Marmite or this gentleman's paste or something that's got anchovies, or actually just some anchovies, but nothing too oily, otherwise you're gonna have trouble. Just trust me, you're gonna have trouble. Next up, easy peasy. All you gotta do is just fold that in half. Literally, dump, like it's a sheet of bloody A3 paper. Now you want to put a bit of flour on. Bit of flour, not that much, just a little bit. Roly-poly, Bob's your uncle. I'm sorry if your parents didn't tell you. Once it's about that thick, just get a knife or a knife equivalent and just sort of chop it up into roughly bits. Whack these onto something oven suitable and give them a funny little twist. Now you can kind of like you can kind of brush these with milk or egg, but I can't be bothered. Just remember not to put them all too close together, otherwise they will all merge to form some sort of Power Ranger pastry. And this is the point where you're going to remember that you were supposed to preheat the oven to about 200 degrees. You want to do that about 10 minutes ago. So while you're waiting for that to heat up, just eat some ice cream. After about 15 minutes, your cheesy things should be done. And there you have a delightful mug of homemade cheesy twist things, warm out of the oven. And these are wonderfully served with a glass of fancy white wine. And no fancy party would be complete without a pyramid of Kinder Surprise. Oh, with these culturally confused messages, you are really spoiling us, Ambassador. Kinders, Kinder eggs, come to me. And that's it for this month's opener. Cheesy things, wine, and a lovely game. Although I wouldn't recommend eating Kinder eggs and cheesy things and wine at the same time. And in fact, if you do have any masks, you could just wear masks. That might be more relevant than Kinder eggs. But thanks very much for watching. See you next time. Bye!